Hello there, Brick Fanatics. Who's ready to see the very latest LEGO modular building? Here it is, the... what? LEGO Ideas? Botanical what? What? Yes, the latest LEGO modular building is in fact a LEGO Ideas set, the Botanical Garden that was designed by LEGO fan designer Goannas89. Now, the LEGO group took the original Botanical Garden designed by Goannas89, real name Valentina Bima, and then actual LEGO designers sculpted it and moulded it and turned it into what we have now, which is basically, I mean, not even basically a modular building, it just is a modular building. Now hang on a second, because I can hear you writing that comment, but yes, the LEGO group has removed the Technic pins from the sides of this set and from Goannas89's original design that would have allowed this to lock in tightly with other modular building sets. That said, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck... Last week I mentioned in a video how, because it has to play to the rules of the modular buildings, the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters ends up feeling a little bit inner city, a little bit squished, and a little bit like it's got a back alley to it, rather than the expansive mansion that it is in the source material. That being the case, I absolutely don't think it's a bad thing that the Botanical Garden has a little bit more breathing room. That feels entirely appropriate for this kind of set. All of this, I feel, does raise the question of what exactly it is that we are looking for from a modular building, whether it is the technical connectiveness of it, or whether it is the build quality and the design that is normally a cut above what we get from anything else in the LEGO catalogue. What's more, I can't help but wonder what a botanical garden would have looked like from the LEGO Ideas theme if the designers didn't have to try so hard to match up to our expectations of what a modular set would be. The thing about the LEGO Ideas program, as opposed to the Bricklink Designer program, which I am a huge advocate of, is you are submitting really an idea rather than a finished LEGO design. So you give the LEGO group your own interpretation of something and they say, we like the concept of that, we like the idea, and so here is our version of that. And so actual LEGO designers will make it into the finished product. And normally along the way, any attempt to make something a little bit too much like something else from some other part of the LEGO group's various different themes gets kind of smushed away, so that you have something which feels distinctly LEGO Ideas rather than being something which in this case feels very, very much like it would fit in with the rest of the modular buildings. This then is something of an oddball, because where normally you get with a LEGO Ideas set a variety of different approaches in terms of ideas and in terms of concepts, and then to a certain degree in terms of building style and interpretation, here we're doing something that is so very similar to what we've got in a different theme already, and one of the LEGO group's most beloved collections among older fans in particular, that there's not a lot of room for individual expression here. It all does feel very much, just looking at the pictures, like it's a continuation of the modular series. Now, one of the things you are going to notice about the finished design versus the original fan design is that this one is significantly longer, because where the original fan design was, being fairly within the realms of a standard modular set in terms of sticking to a 32 by 32 base plate, then with an additional 16 by 32 base plate on the side, not unlike, for example, Assembly Square or the Natural History Museum that we got last year. This one is blown out in proportions to two 32 by 32 base plates, which means that you've got 64 studs in length, and that's a lot of space to play with. That length, though, doesn't necessarily translate into a bigger set in terms of piece count, though, because this set contains 3,792 elements, as opposed to the shorter, or the squatter museum, which contains 4,014 pieces. So there's less in the box, despite taking up more space on the shelf. I think a lot of that is in height, and I think a fair amount of that is the fact that we have got a lot of larger transparent elements here rather than smaller individual bricks. Now, I say there are a lot of transparent elements in the box. If you compare this, though, with Valentina's original design, you'll notice that there's an awful lot more little green frames in the finished design, and that does mean that it's difficult to get a sense of what's actually going on inside the set. And here we have a set which is modular by design, which, unlike most other modulars, would be fairly easy to see inside because of the transparency involved, and yet somehow this set set is still, it seems, falling into that classic pitfall that all modulars suffer from, where it looks cool from the outside, but you can't see all the cool stuff inside looking at it from a distance, which is baffling because you would think that that is the one thing that a glass building would be really good for. It's also worth noting that Valentina's original design was taller, making use of additional window pieces and allowing for a better look down into the set, where this one, the tops of the tallest of the trees in the Botanical Garden are clearly a lot shorter, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, because it does mean that we get this long blown out set which otherwise wouldn't really be possible, but it's an interesting different take on this, and it shows you really how the LEGO designers who work on the LEGO Ideas theme in particular have a fair amount of free rein to kind of chop and change things within a fan's design and not necessarily be beholden to what they get initially. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is ever a good idea to get too attached to a fan design for a LEGO Ideas set, because they very rarely come out looking exactly like that anyway. I think really the biggest issue that a lot of people are going to have with this set is probably the fact that it is just a modular, and that feels like a weird thing to say, because modulars are the bread and butter for a lot of LEGO fans. There are fans who just buy 1 or 2 modulars every year, you know, a modular and then a Marvel building, or a modular and then some other kind of building that can be added to the modulars or can be in some way reworked into a modular. And I do think that because the LEGO Ideas program is normally so varied and so diverse, when we get things that are potentially modular-esque or can fit into a modular cityscape, it's normally done in such a way where they can also be a standalone piece, and you've got a bit more flexibility, and the LEGO Ideas designers have got the freedom to just blow things out where necessary and go off literally in another direction. This is bad even for me. So you might have seen the last video that I did on modulars and how I've got a stack of modulars and modular adjacent or connected buildings that are just in their boxes waiting to be built so that they can be put on display once I figure out where to put them. I've not even opened the John Lewis box that this came in. This is not a modular, but this would absolutely be part of my modular display should I ever actually get around to building the darn thing. There you go, surprise unboxing. You didn't see that coming, did you? That'll be my packing step. It's too late to return this. Order date 13th of September 2022. Oh dear. That's nice. Nice to have. There she is. This would have been a terrible moment to find out that they accidentally put the wrong thing in the box. Oh, she's pretty though. Oh, she's lovely. Oh, just absolutely gorgeous. I love this one. I adore this one. I'm a big old Sesame Street fan. I'm a big old Muppet fan in general. I don't know if I can technically call Sesame Street Muppets these days because of legal reasons, but I'm going to do it anyway. Brilliant, brilliant set, brilliant collection of minifigures. I gotta build this thing, really, more than maybe any of the other modulars that I've got in boxes. Now, I call this a modular, even though it's clearly not a modular, because as said, this is a building where the LEGO Ideas team have had the freedom to literally go off in another direction, because you've got the main building here, 123 Sesame Street, and then over on the side you've got Hooper's store. And it kind of fits with the setup that they have when they've actually got the sets for Sesame Street. But also it just works as there's a little bit of play space here, because yes, this is an 18+ set, but in practice an awful lot of toddlers are going to be playing with their parents' sets as well, so that works very well. But the thing is though, while this isn't a modular building, it can be. I want to highlight there are various different builds for this available, but I want to highlight Ben Builds Lego over on Rebrickable, who has done a fantastic job of converting this into the skinnier 16 by 32 design of a modular building, so that if you want to, you can take Sesame Street and just pop that into your modular lineup. And it works really well because Sesame Street buildings are designed to be like that kind of building because they're all, you know, New York suburbs. So it works perfectly. And this, I think, is my big question when it comes to modular buildings. What actually makes something a modular building? In a literal sense, it is those Technic pins in the side so that they can be connected together and become a module as part of a street. And indeed, I would say that the base plate is a large part of the experience as well, and having that space for a Lego set, having something that takes up that square space. But then you get things like, and I've mentioned it before recently, the Chinese New Year set over here, which is the Chinese restaurant, or you get other sets like the A-frame cabin, which have a level of detail that don't necessarily match up one-to-one with other modular buildings, but they work so well because they're another very nice, very detailed, very pretty building. You've got things like, very recently, I mentioned, if I move that out of the way, the Harbour Master's office, part of the Bricklink Designer Program, which again is just absolutely beautiful, really detailed, really interesting to put together, feels like it fits very well with modular buildings. And it comes down to whether the thing that makes a modular building desirable is the Technic pins in the side, or whether it's the general level of attention to detail in a set that makes it sparkle and shine a step above most other things in the LEGO catalogue. If the answer is that a modular building absolutely has to be modular out of the box, then fair enough, things like Sesame Street do not count. But if we are counting things from within the LEGO Ideas catalogue that are just really nice buildings that work as part of a building display, then yes, the Botanical Garden fits in very well, but no, it didn't absolutely definitely need to adhere quite so closely to the design structure and format, the conventions that have been established for the modular buildings. It could have just opened things up a little bit more. It could have taken a different approach. And instead the LEGO group has gone with, I feel like, the safe choice here. Again, not saying that this is a bad thing, not saying that this is in any way a negative reflection on the set itself, because it's an absolutely very pretty set, but it's just something that I feel like there was scope here to try and push the boat out. And instead the designers that worked on this set said, no, we know what fans want. We know what LEGO fans are going to want here. They're going to want something that is modular and that's going to fit in very well within Modular City. It's got to be that, and we can't really rock the boat here. We can't push things out. We can't experiment. We have to stick to what fans want, because fans are going to get really mad at us if we don't absolutely nail this. And to that end, I guess I'm putting the burden here on LEGO fans rather than the LEGO group itself, where we've found that we really love these things. We've been saying more please exactly like what I've already got, but just a little bit different. And that is just, I mean, that is the nature of fandom in general. So I'm not even necessarily saying that that's a negative thing, because of course we like these things. Of course, the design of these modular buildings are such that it's just perfect to add one next to another one endlessly. It's just, I keep coming back mentally to the Bricklink Designer Program and how the team there have said, no more modulars, we are done with modulars. And it's not like they were putting into production a lot of modular designs anyway, even though if you look at the LEGO Ideas Program and at the Bricklink Designer Program, you'll see that there are so many fan designs for modulars of amazing different designs and different scopes and different styles all over the place. For the most part, the LEGO group has avoided making those sets. And I think that that's a deliberate move, and I think that that's probably the right move to make, because both with LEGO Ideas and with the Bricklink Designer Program, if you just did the things that the hardcore LEGO fans want, those modular designs, then they're all going to be 32 by 32 base plates, buildings that are 2 or 3 stories tall, have the same kinds of roofs, the same kinds of walls that come apart bit by bit if you pull off the different floors. They're all going to feel like they're pretty much more or less the same time period in history and the same architectural style, and none of them are going to allow for the kinds of flexibility and the kind of ingenuity that you see from the wider LEGO Ideas theme or from the Bricklink Designer Program, where you get something like the insect collection, or just a phone box by itself, or you get a family tree that you can stick little pictures of your own family onto, or you get all of these just weird and wonderful stuff that would not be available if we allowed our love of modular buildings to overpower everything else within the LEGO fan community. I'm hoping that this video doesn't turn me into the guy that hates modulars, like when I made a video on all of the castles that get submitted to Bricklink Designer Program and I became the guy who hates castles, where what I meant was I just want a castle theme, and then for Bricklink Designer Program to be able to do wild and varied different stuff. And it's kind of the same point again, where I absolutely love all of the wild and varied stuff that you get from LEGO Ideas and from Bricklink Designer Program. And when the modular buildings become the LEGO Ideas sets, it just means that there was an opportunity there for something that was so different and inspiring and unique that has just become another thing that's part of what we already have. All in all, you're just another brick in the wall. And it's not like I want the other designs to go away, because as said, when I've got something like this, my thought is I want to turn this into a modular. I can hit up Rebrickable and I can do it that way. Like, I do want there to be the same level of excitement within the LEGO fan community for modular designs. I want there to be the same number of mocks. I want there to be the same number of different adaptations of existing LEGO sets. I just feel like that's a better thing for the LEGO fan designers to do, rather than for all other LEGO themes to end up feeling more modular in design and feeling like they're supposed to have to fit into the template. The other side of that is that I absolutely definitely want the LEGO group to make more sets that have that modular level of detail and that just gorgeous, particularly really nuanced, really well thought out, really fascinatingly beautiful design when we're getting buildings. I would like that across everything, even if it has to be simplified for sets that are intended for a younger audience or for play sets. But I still feel like there is room to learn from the modular series and apply it all over the place. Again, the Chinese restaurant example is just absolutely apt. It is a set which is not modular out of the box, but it is one that can be adapted into a modular set, but it has that same level of detail. And so basically what I'm saying, if it's any way unclear here, is that the Botanical Garden looks absolutely spectacularly, gorgeously wonderful. It genuinely does look really, really nice, and it's a set that I think people are going to absolutely go nuts for and really enjoy. It is just slightly disappointing when we get a LEGO Ideas set where there are clearly so many boundaries in the way of blue skies thinking, and it would have been nice if there had been an opportunity for maybe for some more of Valentina's original kind of design ideas to survive into this version of it, or maybe just for the designers not to be constrained so much thinking we've got to make this fit the other modular buildings because otherwise the fans are going to get mad at us. Like another different example entirely, Gringotts, right? Gringotts, I still haven't entirely figured out how you're supposed to put that one on display alongside other Diagon Alley sets. And if the designers had decided to just keep that so that it only works alongside the rest of the Diagon Alley sets, which is, I guess, essentially that must have been the mission statement here, and that's what fans were expecting, then we wouldn't have got all of the really cool stuff going on underneath. That's what's missing from the Botanical Gardens LEGO Ideas set, is that extra level of taking things in a different direction and seeing what else can be done beyond the constraints of modular buildings. Like, to reiterate one more time, I'm not saying that this is a bad LEGO set. I'm just saying that LEGO Ideas normally has a little bit more freedom for experimentation. If you disagree with me and if you think that this is an absolutely gorgeous looking set and it is exactly what you wanted, then that is absolutely great, and I don't want to take that away from you. I'm also definitely looking forward to actually seeing what people say about this set when they get their hands on it. This is going to be one that I feel like the fan community is going to have a lot of different takes on, and I'm not saying that my take is the correct take at all. Can you believe that I kept this thing in a box for no reason for 2 years? It's just so pretty. And ultimately, the nice thing about the LEGO Ideas theme is that there is always something fun and new and different on the horizon, and we know exactly what is coming because of the way that these sets are announced so far in advance, which is different to every other LEGO theme. So we know, for example, we're getting Gizmo, we're getting the Goonies, we're getting the Italian Riviera, we're getting Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, we're getting so many different weird and wonderful things that there's going to be some absolutely fantastic LEGO Ideas sets coming in the near future. And these are going to be brilliant for everyone, but not necessarily everyone has to love each and every one of them. And so you're going to have some people who go nuts for one of these and some people who are just maybe a little bit cooler on that and then like something else instead. We can kind of dip our toes into any of these, or you can collect the entire lot. You can do whatever you like. This is ultimately a very flexible hobby. To that end, let us know your thoughts on the Botanical Garden down in the comments, and whether or not you think I am absolutely full of fertilizer. Otherwise, make sure that if you are going to be buying any LEGO sets in the near future, that you use the affiliate link or the QR code to go straight to the LEGO website and purchase those, because doing so just gives us a little bit of the percentage of the sale. It helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics, doesn't cost you a penny extra, but is genuinely really appreciated every time you do that. Make sure that you go to brickfanatics.com. You will be able to there see our full review of this set once it is ready, and you will also be able to see coverage on all other LEGO Ideas sets coming in the near future and all other LEGO stuff in general. Sign up to our newsletter, do the rest of the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe, etc, etc. You know them by this point. Otherwise, have an absolutely lovely day. Thank you very much for watching.